Forbes India presents M Connect, powered by Marmo Solution.
Hello and welcome to M Connect, celebrating architectural excellence and innovation. I'm Radhika Sinha. Our theme this time is the space between words, a conversation about everything that shapes architecture beyond just blueprints and sketches. It's about communication, collaboration, and those quiet unspoken moments where creativity comes alive. And to help us unpack that, we have three dynamic voices from the design world who bring in years of thought, experimentation, and emotion into every space they touch. Joining us today in the studio, we have Amit Bhatt, founder ABA Architects. Founded in 2009, Amit Bhatt Architects is a premier architecture and interior design service firm headquartered in Pune, and his work explores the power of drawing and visual language in design. Next, we have Sujit Nair, founder and principal architect at Sujit Nair Design Group in Bengaluru. His practice engages with urban shifts, cultures, and new ways of thinking about space and form. And lastly, we have today Priyanka Arjun, architectural designer and principal at Priyanka Arjun and Associates in Udaipur. Her work beautifully blends materials, light, rhythm, and nature to create meaningful spatial experiences. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, before we dig in deeper to your personal journeys, I think one common question to all three of you, and let me start with you, Priyanka. When you design, how much of it is all about talking, how much of it is about sensing and observing and just knowing when something feels right to you?
So for me, the design process is very intuitive. Of course, observation plays great part. As architects, we are observers. We see everything. We take it inside us, and many things go into different projects. But taking one project, it's very, very intuitive. It just comes with the whole thing.
Great. And what about you, Sujit?
I'd like to think that as architects, we have to strike a balance between conversation and this act of creation. So I think if we don't express ourselves enough, then it doesn't really sort of enhance or sort of create the right output. So I think speaking is as important as the act of creation, or speaking about creation is equally important.
Absolutely. And you, Amit?
I really agree to both of what they said. Basically, it is about observation also. We have to observe. Without observing, you can't actually express yourself. So I totally believe in, you have to observe things. That's how we learn. That's how we conceive our projects. And of course, after that, words are important. Because words, with words, you have a lot of emotions involved. So that's how I feel words are equally important.
Great. It's interesting how different minds can actually approach a design thinking, right? Amit, my next question to you is more personal and more focused to your personal journey. Have you ever felt that it's way easier to just design, just sketch your ideas and explain it in words? And what did that moment teach you about you as a designer?
So I would say, when anybody comes to you with a vision, when client comes to you with a vision, you always basically, you conceive something in your mind, but definitely to me, it is always about sketching. Till the time I don't put stuff on the paper, I can't even think, without putting the stuff on the paper. Once I put it on the paper, I understand myself is, whatever I have thought of, whatever I'm thinking, is it working properly? So for me, it is always about paper. I'll sketch it, and then only I think I will be able to convey it to my client in a better way. For me, if you ask me, sketching is the thing. So I can't think, really, I can't really think, in other medium. It has to be always on paper. So I think that's the best way.
Well, it's interesting how sketches can actually sometimes tell more than words can.
I think yes, so sketches does, because you can always think of something, but till the time you don't actually put it on paper, you don't yourself understand, you don't yourself get how the thing is going to work, how there are always practical aspects also of design which you only understand once you sketch. So I think sketching is really important, and once you are done on paper, then only you will be able to explain the idea better. To the client. So
it helps
you to visualize better. So that's what I believe in.
And Sujit, is there a metaphor or analogy that you use to describe your work?
I'll respond to that by saying that, about 10-15 years ago, for our office, we devised this idea of a mascot. I don't know if you've already noticed, the office has a logo, and it's inspired by the idea of a chameleon, and that became a sort of metaphor for the way we function itself. We like to think that we're able to adapt to different environments, different project types, scales, and so on. So overall, for the office, I'd like to think that we have that metaphor already that guides us on a day-to-day basis. And so every time we're, let's say every 5 years or every 3 years, we're always looking back at our work and trying to see if there are sort of any consistencies, any patterns that we can draw out. What are those metaphors that we can look at that maybe guides our future work? More recently, we started looking at this idea of what is the latent potential of a project. So we start a project and we want to understand what does this project want to become. For us, that's called latency. So that's a word that we use in the office. That's a metaphor for the way we function. So yeah, I think we're always looking at metaphors. Metaphors bring in that external layer to projects in the office. It's that sort of extra meaning that you give your work in order to kind of push it forward, and also to bridge conversation with clients.
Exactly. I think it helps you to connect with your clients much better.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I think clients are able to, this act of creation within the office can get very inward looking. Architects tend to be very sort of self-indulgent. I think you're always thinking about work, and a lot of people outside of our group don't really understand what we're doing sometimes, and that's where the idea of a metaphor helps. You tell someone that your project, I don't know, for a hypothetical, looks like a cloud or looks like a flower, for example. Very simple analogies, and immediately the client's able to understand. I'm sort of oversimplifying it, but I'm saying that it really is the idea of a metaphor, for
and
work.
Priyanka, what about you as someone from outside the architectural world, maybe an artist, a client, or maybe just a friend also, changed the way you approached a project?
No,
It has never happened with you.
never, because as you said, we architects, we are more or less mostly absorbed with what we do. Architecture is also a very creative personal journey that a person takes. You put a lot of yourself into you. Yes, I have learned from contractors who are 80-year-old who know how to build. They can tell me how they are building. I can learn a thing from them. I can learn from a client who has a different way of maybe unordinary living or something. But the way I work will always be me. Non-architect, I'm not saying it by education or degree or anything, but no, never.
Maybe not changed your working style, but inspired you to do something different.
Little bit, yes. As you say, the observation, and as you say, a place can always inspire you. A person can, even a book or literature, when you read a lot how the places are described, they inspire you to create those spaces. Yes, of course. Inspiration is always there, but changing complete outlook of an architect who's conditioned to work in a certain way is not possible.
Okay. And Amit, has it ever happened that you're working on a project and the people you're working with have completely misunderstood you? How do you get them back on the same page? How do you do that?
Okay, I would say, when somebody comes to you as a client, so you always have different visions. So he will come with probably with some different vision. Okay, I'll just put myself into his shoes. I'll try and understand what he's saying. And then after that, I will take my time. I'll go back to my drawing board. I'll understand, sketch the thing. And then probably if I understand his vision, okay, if I understand what he's actually, wanting to do, and I agree with that, then it'll be, in those cases, that doesn't happen. But yes, sometimes I believe that this should be done in a different manner. So with that case, our visions are different. So when I come to him with a different vision, first time, yeah, there will be, hesitations. There will be a thing where he will not understand what I'm planning to do. But once you make them, align them with your thoughts, align them with your process, then I think it becomes easier. My thing is that I work with logic. So I put always logic in design. So that is how we operate. So like logic, so a lot of people think, logic can't be applied in design, but I believe in, you can actually put logic in design. That is how you can make people understand better in a layman's language. A lot of times happens, you just tend to say people that, okay, this will look, this will look fabulous, this will look very good, but they don't understand in a correct manner. So if you explain that thing with logic is why you are actually doing that. How will this look differently? How will you value add to that project? So I think after all this exercise, then they tend to align with your thoughts and it becomes easier.
Well, great. So you put logic into your thought. And what about you, Sujit? Has it ever happened that How do you just ensure that your team and everyone is in sync with each other, even when nobody is talking?
Well, this is, I think, comes after sort of, years of communicating within the office. It's not an easy task. I mean, I think the synergy that you have amongst individuals who really don't have anything in common, I think that just comes with a lot of practice, and maybe, it's like penance almost. So I'm always trying, it's my role to sort of give away as much as I can of myself to my team members, and talking to them, in some sense, grooming them to think in a certain way. The other thing that we do is we encourage people within the office to look back at previous work that we've done. We look at precedents of work that's been done by extremely really good architects. So I think we have a certain routine within the office that allows everyone to kind of have common energies, and I think that's really how this happens. And over time you realize that this just becomes a certain and a shared frequency amongst the team members, and you're able to produce without talking too much.
Yeah.
It's actually a reminder, that great designs often start with good energy within the team, right?
Absolutely, yes, yeah. It is like that. You've got to have a certain understanding, a tacit understanding that we now know what he's thinking, and I know now what he or she is thinking. You almost understand each other after a certain point, and it's just a glance or a little sort of reaction, and then everyone's really sort of trying to figure out a way to negotiate a situation.
Okay, so that silent chemistry really works.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. It comes after a certain point in time, I think, through the life of a practice, but it does happen.
And Priyanka, have words ever gotten into your way of a project, when you think that, it's way too much explaining in words rather than just sketch it and get over with it, especially with clients or maybe just within your team?
Yes. Architecture is tedious when it comes to explaining the things, and it is also tedious because the time of a project is never less than 2 years. So keeping the same thing, explaining the same thing over, how it is going to happen, yes, it takes a lot of time, but mostly we are prepared to do it. So we do it with clients and everything. One thing with the words part, as Sujit said, like the energy equilibrium in office, which he's maintaining, maybe that is what I also need to learn. I can take it from you, because sometimes I do feel that we are always very much prepared with client, we are always prepared with meetings, visits and everything, and that rolls out really well. But sometimes I personally fall short of the communication with my team. I feel it, that maybe I was not great at delegating. I read a book to learn that, and slowly I'm coming to what you are saying. Hopefully I'll achieve it.
Yeah, but I think that's also important, like learning when to stop explaining yourself,
yes.
right? And Amit, coming to you, where do you think the most truth lies in conversations, in your design, like the sketches, or your final built space?
I think, it always starts with the conversation. So it has to start with the conversation. Then you start thinking, dreaming about how the project has to be. And then it comes to words. And eventually it will be the build structure. So I think conversation, it always starts, you get to understand each other. The comfort is very important. I think comfort is very important, So I've realized of late, with clients, you need to develop that comfort. Once that person is comfortable with you, then he will, align with your thoughts also. So after that, so it all starts with the conversation. That conversation is very important. And after that, the, rest follows. That's what I feel. And the build structure also.
So the communication is very important.
Communication
right?
is very
But
important.
my next question to you, Sujit, is what if you're working with someone who has a very different way of communicating? What do you do in that situation?
Well, a big part of our roles is, as architects, we are also always conditioning ourselves to be good negotiators. I think we sort of develop that gift over time, I think, again, or we are naturally sort of endowed with this gift of negotiation. So I think if you're encountering somebody who is not really sort of understanding what you're saying, you have to find a way through. This is our day-to-day battle in some sense. I mean, this happens within the team, within the people we're collaborating with our clients, and I think it just happens. My personal experience is that every time we've faced with the situation, we've managed to get around it. It takes a little time. There's a little bit of drama, but then you sort of, it works out. I'm always optimistic about making it work.
Well, great. That's interesting. And Priyanka, my last question to you: do you think architecture has a language of its own? And if yes, how do you teach someone to read it?
Yes, of course. The language, overall architecture, the spaces, of course, the language is there. And as a writer writes a book, it is his imagination that he's putting into a book. And when an architect works throughout the body of his work, you would see that language. Understanding space, you see all the people who have Pritzker and all, they have their own architectural language, they explore it, they explain it to people via the exploration of that space. And that is what maybe we are also doing. We are also learning every time to increase our body of work into becoming that space which can be felt by everyone in the same way as we are feeling in that space.
Okay. So, Jeet,
Yes.
I want to get your perspective as well on the same question.
This is a little tricky. I mean, sometimes we are sort of faced with situations when there's a little bit of that dilemma. You think in a certain way, and who you're working with is not seeing it exactly like that. But I think what we do is through the act of drawing, we depict as much as we can. That's one way to do it. You create as much information as you can to sort of make your point, and hopefully get the other side to say that, if not anything, there's a certain level of effort that's gone in for them to then understand, or maybe take the time out to maybe, sort of grasp this better.
It's also very, it's not tangible.
Yes,
It's not tangible, and it is spread across the whole practice of your time.
Yeah.
What you start doing as a first year
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah.
and then you do it on the 10th year, then you do it on 20th
You grow.
year.
I think you also learn in
Yes,
that way.
it's extension of when, that's how the space will be felt. Maybe when I end my career, then maybe the space will be felt the way it's spread across the projects.
Yeah, I mean, your reading of space is so personal.
Yeah.
And a project is successful if there are multiple readings of the same space. Then you've made a great project.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, and so I mean, if that's what if you leave it open-ended like that, and you make a building that everyone can sort of enjoy, or a space that everyone can enjoy, not necessarily a building, then I think then you're communicating to the client or the user in some way. So.
That's a great thought, Sujit. Thank you for that. What about you, Amit?
I think I totally agree with Sujit. So what he said, it is all about that. So like he said, so everybody should experience this space in a different manner, in a different way. So it is all about experience. No, I believe it is all about how you create that experience, and that experience is felt by, like she said, by different people in a different manner, and keep it open. And so I think that is the way.
So before we wrap up our conversation, one last question to the three of you. One project that is closest to your heart, Priyanka.
Of course, every project is close, but this one is a meditation retreat that we are building in Dehradun, and I'm getting to do all that fancy infinity shape building, shell structure. So yeah, a lot of experimentation, and I'm loving doing it.
Wow, sounds very interesting.
Yes,
What
and
about
difficult also, not easy to do.
I'm sure. What about you, Sujit?
The work that I'd done really early on when we started the office is there's this one particular project that we got when we were not doing a lot, and we got to build it, and it was looking in hindsight, I think it was quite experimental in comparison to the work we're doing now. Maybe it was just exuberance, just younger days, and it was a project where we had a supportive client after many years of struggle. So, and we did a good project, and it survived. And at the end of the day, you're looking at buildings that survive and are in some sense hopefully timeless. It's aging well. So I go back there and look at it every now and then, and sort of it's very gratifying. So that project's very close to my heart. It's a project that I still take my clients to and say, this is a building we did a few years ago, and you hopefully make that pitch that you're able to do buildings that stand the test of time. So this is a really small building on a very small site. So that's very close to my heart.
Beautiful, Sujit.
Yeah.
And you, Amit?
To me, it will always be my first project, where I started my career. So, I basically, I just got that chance I was in fact not looking for the one. So basically, I never thought of starting my own practice. I would actually start from there. That was the first break I just accidentally got. So that is how I started my practices. So to me, that first project will always be that emotional thing and connect to me. So it will always be my the special one. That's what I till today I think that's the only one.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Amit, Sujit, and Priyanka. It was a great conversation. It's actually that architecture has its own language. One just needs to observe it and learn to listen to it, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And on that note, it's a wrap for this episode. What a rich conversation full of unspoken signals, creative clashes, and quiet clarity. From the language of sketches to the silence of synergy, today reminded us that great design isn't just made, it's felt, shared, and understood in 100 different ways. I'm Radhika Sinha, and you've been watching M Connect, celebrating architectural excellence and innovation. Until next time, keep listening even to the spaces between words.
Forbes India presents M Connect, powered by Marmo Solution.